Personally, I think the best thing that anybody can do is worry about their own business, focus on what they need to do. I look at our competition. You should look at the competition. You should understand what they're doing and not doing. But for years and years and years before any of this stuff, I told our company, even when they brought me stuff from the competition, I said, I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. The only thing I care about is what we're doing.
Yeah.
All I care about is what are we doing for our customers? What does our reviews look like? What are we doing? How do we win? We do stuff. Am I saying that I completely and utterly ignored what people are marketing in the market or do? No, that's not what I mean. I think people just spend too much energy in an area that they're not even ready to have energy in, if that makes sense. Like, why are we having energy in this area when your energy and all your attention should be on your operation, your business, and your team?
This episode is brought to you by 10X Nerds. If you're a business owner doing real revenue, there's a good chance you're overpaying in areas you haven't even looked at. Things like credit card processing, insurance, telecom, and more. 10X Nerds comes in, audits your expenses across 30 plus categories, and finds immediate savings. And here's the kicker. They only get paid if they save you money. It's a complete no-brainer. If you want to keep more of what you make, go check them out at 10xnerds.com. This episode is brought to you by Rakowski Law Firm. If you're a business owner or have built a level of wealth, but you don't have your estate plan dialed in, you're exposed. Rakowski Law Firm helps families and business owners protect their assets, avoid probate, and make sure everything transfers exactly how it should. This isn't just paperwork, it's a real strategy to protect your legacy. If you haven't looked at your plan in a while or don't have one, go to rakowskilawfirm.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Big Hitters Podcast. I'm joined by Aaron Gaynor. Aaron was referred by Al Levy, and he's also a mutual friend of Tommy Mello, Dan Antonelli. He is not a small fish. He's been at this for over 20 years. Eco Plumbers, Electricians, HVAC Technicians. And we were actually just talking about the rebrand Dan Antonelli did with his company and what a big lift it had. Aaron, man, tell us your story. You guys are balling. I don't talk to a lot of home service guys that are doing over 100 million, so that's huge. So I'm curious to pick your brain on that.
Yeah. So first off, thanks for having me. I know Tommy connected us, and obviously Tommy's a great friend, and if he's working with other people and doing stuff, this guy's everywhere these days, right? So I love him, and I appreciate him connecting us. So I'm a plumber by trade. I think just to get right to the chase, I started as a plumber right out of high school in 1997. I joined the trades. I have no idea that I was going to end up joining the trades. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was loading semi-trucks at night at Value City Furniture. I landed in the trades from my buddy. His brother-in-law had a friend that his brother-in-law worked for Ferguson Enterprises. And then he knew a guy that said, hey, I want to get some young guys in the trades. And it was new construction plumbing. And I didn't really know. I knew what a plumber was, but I didn't really know what they did and how to do it. But I took that job as a first shift job. And I went to work, and I've never left. So I joined the trades then around $7.50 an hour, I think it was, roughly. And I learned to trade, got my master's plumber's license, as they used to call it, with the state of Ohio. Started a business with my buddy. We grew that business to about $3.5 million, and then we went bankrupt on that business as 06 and 07 time frame as the housing market started to crash and went bankrupt. I lost everything. I mean, literally everything. I lost jobs. I lost my house, lost my car. I lost my bank account. I mean, went on check systems. I didn't have, I owed money to IRS. I mean, I had just everything, all the things that come with the bankruptcy. Felt like the absolute loser. Ended up back on my mom's couch on the west side of Columbus, sleeping on her couch at 28 years old with my 3-year-old son. And I just held him up one night and I said, this ain't going to be your life. And got up and got to work. And we'll be coming up on 20 years at the end of this year, be exactly 20 years. I think it's like January 5th or 6th or something that we actually physically started the business. So it would be 20 years. And this is what we've been building for the last 20 years. So from
where did you feel like you,
today.
I mean, that's a crazy story. And I feel like every business owner has a similar story, but I like to double click on that. Like how long did it take you to get out of that? Like, and where did, like, what did you have to shift in your mindset to like break out of that? Cause that's a pretty defeating place to be. I know a lot of people just give up. you know?
Yeah, no, it was super defeating. I mean, I felt very, like I said, I felt like a loser. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I felt like I built this business. I kind of gave me a little money. I'm a poor kid that had a little bit of money there for a little bit, and then we lost that business. But I think for me, it's just I had the will to do it. I promised my son this wasn't going to be his life. I remember, my mom struggled. She worked hard, but she worked multiple jobs and tried to survive. And I just was like, I'm not going to live like this. And this was earlier in life. She's been a school teacher her whole life, just retired, but she really struggled financially and had to go back to school when early on after my parents got divorced when I was younger. So I just knew what that struggle looked like, and I hated it, and I didn't want to do it, and so to lose everything, and then just the promise to my son. So I think at the end of the day, it was just a purpose for him and myself that I'm going to get up and do something with my life. And setbacks happen, and I think I've always been pretty optimistic. And I guess, and also I felt like I didn't have anything else to lose. I've already lost everything, right? So I don't have anything else to lose now besides maybe, not ever doing it. And I felt like I got to give it a shot. And it was a long road. It didn't happen overnight. I can tell you, bankruptcy stays on for 7 years. You got a lot of road. You got a lot of journey to do there. The business didn't do much for the first 7 years. 8 years, into 9 years, finally started building momentum, 10 years and 11 years. And then finally, things really started to, accelerate. So it was a lot of foundational work for those years. And I don't think most people are built for that, to just grind out for years and years and years without seeing any success. And then I ran into this book on the journey after this, a book that I talk about a lot when I get on podcasts or other events, other things, called Think and Grow Rich, by Napoleon Hill. And I just read that book and it changed my life, to be honest. It just changed my life. It gave me a roadmap, gave me direction. And I just sat down and said, I'm going to do exactly what this book has. What do I got to lose? Nobody's taught me any of these skills. Nobody's ever done anything for me. So I just went to work. I said, I don't have a better plan. So I just did the book. I mean, I still have it sitting right here. There's my copy that I read and have, and all the highlighted notes and over, right? So I use that as my foundation. And then obviously you have to go to work, right? It's not just envision all the stuff this says, but that built me a foundation. And then I went to work. And one of the biggest things I went to work on was me. I realized when we lost that business, you could blame it on the economy. You could blame it on this. You could blame it on that. The bottom line was I just didn't know how to run a business. I was a plumber that knew how to do plumbing and new construction and production work, but I didn't have a tax ID. I didn't really own a business. I didn't have a brand. I didn't understand marketing. I didn't understand finance. I didn't understand all the things that really come with operating a business. When we say we're a plumber or an HVAC tech or electrician or whatever trade you do, I don't. If you're just independent accountant, it doesn't really matter. Like, you're a technician, right? And now you've got to become a business entrepreneur or a business person. And there's an array of other skills that have to exist for that to work.
Yeah.
And that's where I went to work.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by my friend Silas Lagoy over at ForgeMark Wealth. If you're a high-income business owner or professional and feel like you're getting crushed by taxes, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. ForgeMark Wealth specializes in advanced legal tax strategies and wealth planning designed to help you keep more of what you make, grow it efficiently, and actually build long-term freedom, not just income. If you're making serious money but don't have a real strategy behind it yet, I highly recommend connecting with Silas and his team.
What's up, everybody? This episode is sponsored by ExitWise. If you're a business owner thinking about selling your company, whether that's now or years down the road, you need to know what your business is actually worth and how to maximize that exit. That's exactly what ExitWise does. They help you prepare, position, and ultimately sell your business by assembling a world-class team of M&A experts around you, guiding you from valuation all the way through closing. If you want to know what your business is really worth and how to increase that number before you sell, go check out exitwise.com and get ahead of it. Where did you feel like you did? So you said, obviously the bankruptcy looming over you, and it didn't happen overnight. When did you feel like you started to finally see success and were able to climb yourself out of the hole?
So I think there's two ways to look at it. I think the first part I found success, it was in, and I don't always maybe explain this, because I think people look for the success to the revenue number of growth. I think I started finding success earlier in the idea that I started to develop myself and started to understand different skills, learn things, think differently. I read books. I listened to not podcasts so much back then, because they were just kind of get started. Audiobooks a lot, like it was the trend where audiobooks was really coming popular. I mean, I could get anything, put it on in my truck, on job sites, and I think I started seeing the first foundation of that first, let's call it 7 years, was really the trend of me just becoming a different person, right?
Yeah.
Not just a blue collar working. Nothing wrong with this because I got a lot of them, but I'm just saying blue collar working plumber. I started becoming somebody that now also started to understand business, understand marketing, understand personal develop, understand my commitment and my goals, understand how to write goals, understand my definites in life, understand, all these things that needed to be built in to be able to develop. So I think phase one is there. And I started feeling that momentum and that change. I always say it starts with you, right? That change came before all the other stuff could come. So I started feeling that momentum. And then about, let's call it about 10 years in, about 7 to 10 years in is when we started really building some momentum, right? And that's when I could say, oh, this is really starting to come into being an actual business that has some opportunity to do something big with. And I had set $100 million goal out. So I read Think and Grow Rich. And I don't know, I just said, what would be that? And then I had read, I think, a book later on, Good to Great. And those things made me think differently. I was like, I got to think really big to motivate me to grow into somebody. And I put a goal out for $100 million, not officially on paper, but like in my head, probably about 15 years ago. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to grow $100 million business. And about 13 years ago, I met my partner now, Mike, in the business. And I told him at a event we were before, and I wanted to grow the business to 100 million. He asked me where you at now. I was like $1 million. And he was like, wow, that's a feat. Do businesses even grow that big in your industry? And I said, I have no idea, to be honest with you. I said, I just want to do something great. And then about 2015, really sat down and started writing that model, started doing that. And officially in 2015, I gave myself a decade to accomplish that goal.
This episode is brought to you by Blue Collar Business Advisors. If you're running an HVAC, plumbing, electrical, or landscaping, or any other type of home service business and wondering where all the money is going despite growing your revenue, you need to talk to Paul Maskill. Paul has scaled and sold multiple blue-collar businesses and now helps business owners improve cash flow, profitability, and financial clarity through outsourced CFO services. His clients gain a better understanding of their numbers, build predictable profits, and create a business that supports the life they actually want. One of the things I appreciate most about Paul is he's not just a finance guy. He's been in the trenches as an owner. He understands the challenges of running blue-collar businesses because he's done it himself. If you're doing a few $1 million a year in revenue and want to stop guessing at your numbers and start building real wealth, head over to bluecollaradvisors.com. That's thebluecollaradvisors.com and schedule a discovery call with Paul and his team. Blue Collar Business Advisors, helping blue-collar business owners build financially healthy companies and achieve permanent profitability.
This episode is brought to you by Corberry Digital. If you own an HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing, or home service business and you're tired of wondering where your next lead is coming from, you need to check out Corberry Digital. Corberry specializes exclusively in helping home service companies dominate their local markets through SEO, Google Ads, local service ads, websites, content marketing, and lead generation systems that actually produce a measurable ROI. Their team doesn't just focus on clicks and impressions. They help contractors lower customer acquisition costs, increase qualified leads, and build a marketing engine that scales. What I like about Corberry is they understand the blue collar space. They aren't trying to be everything to everyone. Their entire focus is helping trades businesses win in their backyard and generate more profitable jobs. If you're looking to grow your business, improve your online visibility, and build a marketing system that works, visit Corberry.com and schedule a strategy session with their team. That's Corberry.com. Tell them you heard about them on the podcast.
So 100 million, is it all residential? Are you guys just dominating the residential?
Yes, it's all residential service replacement business. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I'd say pretty much every bit of it. We do a little bit of some commercial HVAC stuff here or there, but very, very little. Very, very little.
Yeah. And then how many locations, how many techs are you doing acquisitions? Do you have outside capital? Those are all my follow-up questions.
Yeah. Okay. So this has all been funded ourselves. We are a privately held business still between myself and Mike own it. So we have no private equity, no cash anywhere else. I mean, we have bank loans like any business does, right?
Yeah.
So no, it's all been cash flowed in and done by us. We do have multiple locations. We are in Columbus, which is our largest location. Then we have Dayton and Cincinnati, and then a smaller location in Chillicothe, Ohio. The other two have been greenfields. They opened up, and then we bought a smaller HVAC business a couple years back, probably about 4 years ago now, in the southern Ohio area. That was just a smaller HVAC business. As we were getting started in HVAC, we thought, hey, we'll buy a HVAC business that might be able to give us some insight and do some stuff into HVAC. But other than that, it's all been organic growth.
This episode is brought to you by Jonathan Keim and the teams at 360 Commercial Roofing and Top Roof Marketing. If you own or manage commercial property, or you're a roofing contractor looking to grow, Jonathan has spent more than a decade helping businesses protect their buildings and scale through proven commercial roofing and marketing systems. His companies specialize in commercial roofing solutions, roof asset management, and marketing built specifically for the roofing industry. Whether you need a trusted commercial roofing partner or want to generate more qualified roofing leads, check out 360 Commercial Roofing or Top Roof Marketing. You can go to www.360, like 360, commercialroofing.com, and Top Roof Marketing, www.toproofmarketing.com.
A lot of times it's people, it's marketing, it's systems, it's processes. Is there any one thing in the business that you felt has moved the needle the most for you guys that you hang your hat on?
I don't know. I think it's always hard because I don't know if there's ever one. I think when people ask like, what's the silver bullet, or, is there a secret or anything? I don't think there is. I think each chapter of your business is a new thing, and they're all kind of all the same. They're pretty much between, let's call them, your systems, as you mentioned, right? The systems, the people, the leadership, and you, right? So those four framework kind of, to me, like those are the four are kind of happening. And each one needs a little bit different of each one of those, and they need to evolve. Now, I think systems are important. I think you mentioned Al. Al's a big system guy, right? Doing stuff. You need systems because systems do allow the business to operate. So yeah, we've done systems. We hired people, and we had to bring people in and develop people and grow them. And then we had to develop our leadership at different scales of the business. And then I have to act and operate different at each one. So I think they just all kind of interconnect back and forth. You just have to understand how to navigate those, because there is no one thing. I truly don't believe there is in my journey. All I can speak to is my journey and other things. But, I think you have to obviously be pretty good you got to know how to do the work, right? Like you got to have people who know how to do the work. But I also think people underestimate marketing and sales and understand how important it is to really learn that craft at a high level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is crazy to me, man, because I talk to a lot of companies that like PEs coming in, and it's interesting to hear people's perspective on that. And I just see it as an opportunity. Like they're not doing it better, than you would otherwise be doing it. And I think it makes a huge opportunity. Like they immediately come in and they cut the top producers. This is one of the first things they do. So like, if anything, like your posture and your attitude and seeing this as a blue ocean and opportunity, I think that there's just so much, and especially now with AI coming in, it's bulletproof. Right. So,
yeah. I think, look, I know there's a lot of heat around PE sometimes. I actually don't have a problem with private equity at all. I think that there's good. I think it's brought a lot of wealth into the industry. I think it's brought a lot of competitiveness to the industry. I think it's leveled the industry up in my journey, at least my time. I think there's a lot of companies, when people go PE, I think they just think some company out of, let's call it New York for a lack of a better term, right? New York City comes and buy. A lot of times they're buying operators that are the same people that are operating and doing stuff. So I think it's really not a bad thing at all. I think there's leverage on both sides that people can use. Private equity brings, money and opportunity to businesses, and then privately brings the idea that you're still privately working for a business that's not owned by PE. Now, the one thing I think is that, like when businesses, anybody's business grows bigger and bigger, like you're not at every meeting either, right? You're not at every place. So I think there's different ways to kind of evaluate that. And there's good private operators. There's bad private operators. There's good private equity companies and there's bad private equity companies, right? So it doesn't really matter to me. I think people are too caught up on that stuff these days, to be honest, too worried about what private equity is doing or not doing, or what private business is doing. And I understand it. You know why? Because it's a hot topic but right? That could leverage or debate that or do that. So personally, I think the best thing that anybody can do is worry about their own business, focus on what they need to do. I look at our competition. You should look at the competition. You should understand what they're doing and not doing. But for years and years and years before any of this stuff, I told our company, even when they brought me stuff from the competition, I said, I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. Only thing I care about is what we're doing.
Yeah.
All I care about is what are we doing for our customers? What does our reviews look like? What are we doing? How do we win? We do stuff. Am I saying that I completely and utterly ignored what people are marketing in the market or do? No, that's not what I mean. I think people just spend too much energy in an area that they're not even ready to have energy in, if that makes sense. Like, why are we having energy in this area when your energy and all your attention should be on your operation, your business, and your team?
Yeah. What's your current focus right now? Like, everybody wants to be somewhere else. So where's the next break point, and what do you feel like needs to happen to get past it?
Great question. I think for us, for me, everything I'm doing now is to what does it look like to be 250 million. So everything I plan now is that. So even when I go through our leadership deck with our team right now, we have what does it look like? Who do we need? How do we get there? What infrastructure do we need? What expansion do we need? What does that look like? So those are if you're talking outward, those are the big thing. But the main thing I spend majority of my time is focusing on our mission: create great tradespeople, advance their life, and win big. So every day I talk about it somewhere, somehow. How are we making sure that we're creating great tradespeople, people that know how to do the work? Are we operating our training program, our university, which is our school? Are we technically training? Are we doing all those things? What are we doing to advance people's lives in the business, whether that's financially, their career, their education, the things to be able to operate better? And then last is what are we doing to win big? Win big means take care of our community, serve our community at the highest level, take care of our customers at the highest level, win our P&Ls, donate back to the community, all those types of things. So that's where I live at these days a lot. And I'm still in the trenches. I'm an old school operator still. I love being on the ground. I go to this plumbing meetings. I go to the other meetings during the week. I pop in on calls. I do a field call.
When's the last time you went out on the call? When's the last time you went out on a call?
Question. Actually, it's been a while since I've actually ran a ride-along call. That's a great thing. I've been out on a couple of job sites. I go out on some sites. I pop in. I call customers still. I call customers back all the time.
Yeah.
And talk to them about stuff.
Yeah.
If somebody wrote something that they thought went wrong, I personally call them and I'll say, hey, this is
Yeah.
Aaron. They're always shocked that I call. I'm like, why? It's my business. I care about it. I call customers, talk to them. I go in the field. I go in the lot. I walk the lots a lot, talk to the techs. A little more challenging to get around when you have multiple locations these days, but I go to all the quarterlies. So every quarterly we have a presentation done at each location of breakfast that we serve and do. And then we go through the quarter and I go there, I do a presentation. I talk to the techs. I did breakouts with them last quarter where I did some smaller groups to tell me what they thought was working in the business and not working and what could I do better and what could we do better. So I'm very involved in this operations day to day because I love it. And I'm not saying that's where everybody should be also at, the size and scale, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I love that. What's the secret to techs? I mean, I've heard everything from recruiting people out of the blue that have no tech experience to just creating more of a winning scenario where they can make more money and there's a stickiness factor. You just have a great culture and mission. Like, have you found any sort of, secret sauce in terms of recruiting and maintaining good skilled labor?
So again, I love the secret question because I'm not sure that there's anything that's secret, right, at this point in life anymore. All the information's available. And I think that there's things that you can do that are good. And maybe they're a secret, but I think, one thing I guess would be is like, just understand whatever your culture is. You gotta align with the culture of your business. And I know culture, I was on a podcast the other day talking about this too. And it's like, the word culture is kind of this mystical word a little bit, right? A little bit. It's like culture. It's like, okay, what does that actually mean? What do you do?
Yeah.
How do you operate it? Well, first off, the culture has to know what your mission statement is and believe in it, right? So we're hiring people these days. I do the orientation I do a part of the orientation every other week on Monday, and I go through the mission statement with all of our new hires personally. I talk to them about it and make sure they get bought in, that we're going to build great tradespeople, we're going to advance your life, and we're going to win big. And I talk through it and build on it and do it. So, a lot of people just hire them and go, you're just going to make more money here. And that works short term, right? Because people start to lose interest in certain things. They got to understand, how are they moving along and developing this business? Not everybody needs to go from a tech to a manager. but they need to understand the investment in the company, where it's going, what's happening. And then I think, one of the big areas is like the trading of labor is really a challenging game in a market where there's just a lot of shortage of labor. So one of the great things, like a secret for us, was we built our own school in 2020. And I think we've seen a really commitment to people that go through that program. They really feel more loyal to the organization. They feel more engaged in the organization because you taught them a skill, right? And I always say the trade saved my life because it did. It gave me a place. It gave me an opportunity. It gave me a skill. And when I talk to the people going in this, that's why I say this is a skill you're learning, and you'll be able to take this anywhere in life. You don't have to. I would love for you to work at Eco, but the bottom line is we've taught you a skill, and you've come and did the work that you can use now for the rest of your life, and nobody can take that away from you. So, and I think when we build people through the trade line, through the university and the school, that's kind of the secret, I think, at the end of the day, because people become loyal, just like you do if you go to a certain college, right? What happens? You're pretty loyal at college, right? They donate, they go back, you watch the sports, even if didn't go to a great college, you're pretty loyal to the most point when people go to major universities. So I think that's what we've seen. And I'd say if I had a secret, I'd say, can you invest in people early enough, find great people, right? And that can get it, want it, and have the capacity to do the work. So again, like they have to technically can learn it and comprehend it, right? Mm-hmm. And if you can do that and you can teach them something, I think you'll have a lot more success long term.
I love that. Yeah, it's interesting to me, like the shift in the trends. I think I was just watching a little snippet of a Mike Rowe podcast the other day. He's like, electricians making $200K a year, no college debt, working on these data centers. And I want there to be a day where trade school is sexy again. I don't know if that will come. I feel like Elon is going to crush it with robots, and eventually like robots will figure out how to do HVAC installs and stuff. But right now I think the trades are such a blue ocean. I guess I don't understand why more people aren't just shifting completely, like career paths shifting completely. We see all the layoffs. I think there's such a great opportunity right now to learn how to start a business. If you don't do it now, you'll be forced to eventually, I think. And so, but the skilled labor one, that it's probably the number one pain point that I hear on this podcast. Sometimes I run the podcast, I just want to give the guy a hug, like keeping the techs around. They keep getting poached. I just lost my number 2, or he went out to hang his own shingle. So it's probably the question, I think, that I always am curious to hear how people are dealing with it,
Yeah, so I'll follow up with, I think one is like, you're never really going to lose people in your business. That's just kind of the business. You want to kind of keep it down. Now, retention in the trades is a challenge. Nobody should deny that. It's not easy. People come into it. It's not everybody's cut out for it. It's demanding. It's long work. It's different work than some people envision themselves potentially maybe doing in life. When I was younger, saying that you were a plumber, I felt like when I joined in the 90s was kind of like low tier citizen. Kind of felt a little bit, you know what I mean? You just kind of felt down here saying I'm a plumber. I think at first I actually kind of felt embarrassed about it. I loved the work, but I felt a little embarrassed to tell people. And then eventually when I was just like, man, I'm a plumber, I'm making good money, I'm doing good. In today's world, I mean, geez, the plumbers and the technicians and all the people in the trades have so much opportunity to make great money without all this college debt. So I think there's definitely people moving more towards it because of that, and seeing all the debt, and then seeing that a lot of these degrees these days just aren't paying off. They're just not paying off like they used to in general. And a lot of people don't even end up using half of these degrees, right? That they go to school and then they're paying debt on them. Or there might be, with all the AI, some of these entry level white collar jobs might be slowing down more, in general. And you can see that through some of the AI stuff. But I do think that it definitely, I hope, as you said, sexy, it can find its way. I think robots doing the work will be a lot more challenging than many other stuff, just due to the dynamic of what you have to be able to walk into somebody's house. You have to be able to come through. You have to view stuff. You have to understand how to navigate the relationship with the customer. You also have to do the work. You're going to have to, like, all the ways, like how you use a wrench, how you do this, how you do that, how hard you push on this, how hard you do that, right? Like, so I think it'll take a very long time. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I don't think it'll be something that'll be replaced anytime. I do think in the construction world, for sure, there'll be more of that, and there already is, right? As it's just like, here's the diagram, here's what we're building, here's where you put your stuff, here's what you do, done, right? Service, I think is the safest and most secure place to be at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. I agree. I think that's 100% true. Okay. I'm actually big on buying back your time. Dan Martell, huge fan of his stuff. A fan of anything that helps put a business on autopilot. One of the things I'm seeing in the trades is a lot more companies are starting to use overseas staffing, like virtual assistants in the Philippines. A lot of guys are starting to implement AI. Are you implementing any of those two types of tools? And if so, how are you implementing them in your business?
So yeah, we use AI. We use it in the phone system right now. I think it's answering maybe about 15% of our calls we do through AI right now. So we're growing in that area. We do speed to lead AI. We do a bunch of other different AI stuff in that area. So, and it's growing. We're also trying to manage it properly without going too far right away. Understanding that relationship between customers and doing stuff. So, but I think there's an audience that's perfectly fine connecting and having an AI agent do it as long as it's effective, efficient, and go. Uh, I obviously use all the AI tools myself. I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, I use Gemini, I use Palexia. I use all of them for all types of different stuff connected. We do them in our office to do things. We use Notebook LM a lot in the AI world to build training platforms, training curriculum, video.
One of the
curriculum.
best tools that no one talks about, Notebook
Yeah.
LM. I'm glad you're using it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's an amazing tool, and I think people should understand it and use it. It's probably the best tool from an, I guess I'll call it an AI because it develops and does stuff that I think Gemini has versus the competitors. I think Claude is the best one for business infrastructure, presentations, information, Excel sheets, all that type of stuff, right? So I use a lot of it. I use Claude a lot for a lot of stuff, and and then we use Notebook. So I guess to answer your question, yeah, all of those, and then I still go out and try to find the best people. Sometimes to buy back our time, that's just the best at the best, like who, not how type of stuff, right? It's like, let me
Mm-hmm.
go find that this guy's the best trainer at this thing and knows plumbing or knows HVAC or knows electrical the best. I'm hiring you. Come in here and talk to my team. I want the best in here talking to them. We're not going to act like we know. We're not going to keep acting just because we're larger that we're the smartest at everything, because we're not. So I
Yeah.
think we're just find out who to bring in all the time, who to talk to the team to speed up the process.
Yeah.
I don't know if that
Yeah.
answers your question.
No, it does. Yeah, yeah. I'm encouraged to see people adapting to it. I'm always curious to hear how people are using it. Some people think it's just like PE. Like it's people either love it or hate it. There's no in between, you know? And
I think
so,
everything has a balance. I think, like,
yeah,
relationship with a private equity, there's balance, right? There, you're going to have both sides. There's balance with AI. There's balance in life, balance in, working out. If you don't work out, you don't do. Finding that balance. And when I say balance, like, I think there's extremes. Sometimes you have to be all in, and you're not going to get everything you want on everything. But the thing is, like, people, if you don't early adapt enough, you get left behind, right? So I
yeah,
think one of the big things, I'll use an example for us. I met Service Titan, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago. I think we're number 30 that signed up on Service Titan. And the whole platform, everybody else, I don't want to move on to that. I'm not doing this stuff, all these things, right? Like, we adapted early. Was it clunky a little bit at first? Yeah, it was, but it was still better than anything else I'd seen. Ara was my sales rep. We adopted early. We started moving early. We understood the early. And because of that, we were able to be in the game and do it, right? So you can either be somewhat of an early adopter, or you can wait until you think it's 100%, but then your competitors already have a lot of edge on you because they're already knowing how to use it, how to control it, how to infrastructure what works good, what doesn't work good. So I think when people are extremes of one or the other too much, I think that's where things kind of get a little wonky in your business. That's my opinion.
yeah, yeah. Last question, marketing. Paid ads, SEO, re-engagement campaigns, referral. Like, is there anything uniquely that you've done that you feel like you've done differently than beyond just traditional marketing and just having a good brand with good reviews and, just doing a great job for your clients? Is there anything uniquely that you guys have found with marketing that's made the biggest lift for you?
So we've done a lot of pay ads over time. I think that was, one of the bigger ones you try to win in before the prices really scaled up. I think as we went on, we were more of an offer driven business, like call us 93 or free for your drain, $49 for a water heater, clean and check, et cetera, et cetera. We still have all those offers. So I think a couple of things. One is you got to find a kind of some legacy offers that matter to you, and your business can articulate those, and you can lean into those over and over. because a lot of times I think people do is they try to create an offer this week and another offer and another. It's confusing. They never get traction. Nobody even knows what the offer is and what they benefit from it. So I see that a lot in businesses, smaller businesses, they scale. And we use every channel. I mean, we do everything. We do direct mail when we need to. Radius mailers are probably the most popular one. I think that's worked really well for us. If we dug a sewer right here, we radius that 100 houses and say the house that we dug, the name of the first name of the person, what we did, and those radius, and that brings a lot of awareness. So if it's a sewer or an HVAC system or a bigger project, so radius mailing I think is an undervalued resource.
So you'll be like, hey, this is Andrew's house.
Yep.
We just did, and you'll do a direct mail. Do you have to get Andrew's permission to say like, hey, we just did this thing?
Andrew, your neighbor Andrew, we just dug a sewer, and we say it.
What if I'm a mean son of a gun and no one in the neighborhood likes me?
It doesn't matter because it brings awareness to that something's happening, and usually the age of the houses are all the same, and you've been having a similar problem. So I think it's an undervalued tool. I think mailers still have value that people probably should look into. And then I say right now, the biggest thing is it's all AI content. How are you building everything in your infrastructure for the AI machines, the LLMs to read you? Like if they don't, I truly believe that you're going to get erased. You're not going to be seen. You're not going to be found as a business if you're not building all the things that the LLMs need. I don't know how many people on your podcast do this, but you should go into Gemini and ask questions, or Gemini AI ask questions about your business. See if you come up. See what kind of customer sentiment happens. What kind of information comes up. ChatGPT. You should do it on every platform and just see does your business even show up? Are you even relevant anywhere? And I think that's probably one of the, I guess to answer your question, a little bit of the secret things that we're spending a lot of time on right now is that content for that area, because I do think that is super important as you move forward in the marketing world. And then last, I guess I'll just say is one thing I think people don't do enough. We do the rebrands and all the stuff like that, but you have to build a brand identity and sit down and go, what's my brand story? And then what do I stand for and what do I stand against as a business? And you have to be able to tell that over and over and over and over and be okay with that kind of repetitive messaging with some type of, in and out, you say the same words, but I don't think enough companies sit down and say, what do I stand for and what do I stand against? And then decide how to model their marketing and their operations around that.
Yeah, that's incredible. Is there anything we haven't talked about? By the way, I think I want to touch on that because ChatGPT actually just announced yesterday that you can now pay for ads on their platform.
Yeah.
And so I think if you care at all about being found, like the next 18 months, we're going to see a complete shift to AI search. And so, the fact that you can now pay for ads on chat is great. And all the other ones are going to do it. But at the moment, it's free money, right? If you are highly reviewed, your service area is clear, like there's 4 or 5 things that you can do to make sure that you're found on those models, but it's literally free money. And I love that you guys are thinking about that because I think any smart contractor would want to know how to be found more on those tools, especially before they start charging you thousands of dollars per month, to actually run ads on it.
Yeah. Well, it's coming. Like all of them, we knew that ads would come, like anything, it's the revenue stream. It's how they have to make money, right? So and people aren't going to pay for the service enough either, right? So it will happen. You'll be able to show up in the ads, but then again, what's the competitive advantage on that? Usually, it's who's willing to spend more.
Yeah. Is there anything that we haven't talked about so far on this podcast that gets you fired up?
I'll just say I don't know what gets fired up, but. I think that the trades are a great place still to be. I think people should be excited about the future of this industry across all areas. I think there's still, I know you like to I've heard you use the term blue ocean. I think there's still some blue ocean areas. I do think there's, sometimes the trades are a little more of a red ocean than a blue ocean, but I do think there's blue ocean opportunity, right? In the trades. And I think people should lean into it. So I'm fired up about the future. I think that there's so much opportunity with technology, AI, all the things that are coming our way, the workforce development, things that have just been invested in over the last couple of years that you need to lean into and start looking at them. So excited for that. I'm happy to be on here just to spread some word about the trades and what's possible. And thanks for having me.
Amen, dude. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Where can people learn more if they wanted to learn more about your business?
They can go to geteco.com, or they can hit me up on, LinkedIn.
I love it, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Don't go anywhere because I want to keep talking, but thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.